So I've been tutoring for several years. I have a company I tutor for of my own. And a lot of times I get questions that are, what's the progression, or why do we take classes in a certain order? And so I think for parents who aren't as familiar with math as, say, a math teacher might be, it's good to have an idea going into high school what order classes your child should take. And so I have two slides that cover basically if your student is a non-math student, there's certain things that they probably want to take regardless. And then if they're a more math or science student, there's a stronger focus on math. And so if your student is a non-math student, I definitely would recommend that they need to have 4 or 5 years of math, and that can start as early as 8th grade in most states. You need to check your state's regulations about that. But a lot of times if you take an algebra or pre-algebra level class in 8th grade, that would count towards high school math. And so if you start in, I have the red years on the left are for generally junior high level. So if in 8th grade you start with pre-algebra, after that would be followed by algebra 1. And then in years 3 and 4, you can either do geometry and then algebra 2, or you can do algebra 2 and then geometry. And it really depends on the person and sometimes what's available or what they would like to do as far as which one's first. There are conflicting views on whether one is better than the other, but I think as long as you're getting both of those in, I'm not sure there's really a definite need to go one way or the other. So I would recommend, regardless of what your student plans to do after high school, that they at least get through algebra 2 and geometry. However, most states require 4 years of math because it's one of the core subjects. And so if you have a 4th year to fill in, the natural step after algebra 2 or geometry would be to take pre-calculus with statistics, which we offer. Or I also put up here some other options would be classes like statistics or consumer math. Those are not classes we offer right now, but we might offer down the road. By the time your student gets to that 4th year of high school, they have a little more leeway depending on what their plans are after school. And then if your student, on the other hand, is a more math or science-minded student, I definitely recommend that they try to get algebra out of the way in 8th grade and then start high school with either geometry or algebra 2. Same thing here. They can do either order, either geometry or algebra 2 first, as long as they get both of them in. And like Susan talked about, you can even do the geometry over the summer if your student wants to get ahead. And that would move them through a little bit faster if they're trying to get through calculus by junior year instead of senior. So the progression's pretty much the same, but it starts a little bit earlier for somebody who's more naturally gifted at math. And then senior year, if they're going into math or science, I would definitely recommend a calculus class or a statistics class. Both of those would be things that will help them when they get to college, because pretty much any science you take, you have to take at least first semester calculus at college. And statistics goes really across all fields, whether it's math and science or anything else. Consumer math is always an option, but generally math and science students wouldn't take that unless they really needed a break for some reason. Another option is math and science students can also double up. So geometry and algebra 2 could actually be taken simultaneously. So if they were trying to catch up but didn't want to do a summer class, you could take those both the same year. And I usually recommend students try to keep plans open. I famously said in 10th grade to my chemistry teacher, who still makes fun of me for it, that I would never do anything in math or science. Here I am 15 years later with a degree in physics with a minor in math. So don't be surprised if your student might change their mind, and you don't want to limit them too much by having them not take more challenging classes. If they're capable, they generally should take it regardless of what their intended major is in college, or if they don't know what their major is going to be in college.
That's great. I definitely agree with you about the changing courses. I became a math major in college after deciding to be an English major in high school. So you're not the only one who kind of switched gears. And I love that you mentioned the statistics. I think that's just definitely a good idea for anyone who's college bound because it's so important now. But